you're ready.
Go for it.
I will call the 2021 September 20th meeting to order. Do we need to do roll call, Jason, or do you
I've
get
got
to go away?
I've got roll. We're good.
Okay, I'll read the mission. The mission of the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is to protect and promote the personal dignity of all Bismarck citizens and eliminate any discriminatory barriers that prevent them from reaching their full human potential, seeking to make education and compliance a meaningful and visible strategy to recognize the value of a diverse community. Item 1, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
is there a second?
Darcy. I think.
Darcy seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, motion carried.
Aye.
Okay, I should probably wait.
Trevor's in a hurry tonight, folks.
Item 2, public comment. Any public comment? Okay, I'll just move right on. Number 3, Bismarck Public Schools discussion with Shazzy Schaefer, Indian Education Director. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thanks for having me. My name is Sashay Shetler, and I'm our Indigenous Education Director, formerly Indian Education Director due to federal language. Brand new position, formerly our director position was held as a portfolio by a principal. So we are the first, I'm the first full-time Indigenous Education Director for Bismarck Public Schools and the only one in the state.
Welcome.
So thank you. I'm excited to be here. I was able to meet Jason informally, and he kind of told me a little bit about the group and invited me to come speak for a little bit. So I don't have anything super formal, just here to talk a little bit about what I do and the work that we're doing within Bismarck Public Schools and any intercross or interface that we might potentially do. So, like I said, 6 months in, and one of our exciting feats that we've accomplished is offering all of our tribal languages within the sharing North Dakota's boundaries at our high school level, and looking to expand that language initiative. But really, we're here to incorporate Indigenous voices into our public school setting. We know that public school was weaponized against Indigenous peoples for assimilation, and now we want that authentic representation and choice, and making sure that our students are seen and reflected in their curriculum and in their classroom and in their school community and community collectively. So building that and knowing that education is the key to moving forward.
So did you say you're teaching the languages in Bismarck Public Schools?
So
So,
high school.
so a Native American could go and study Lakota or?
So we
Oh, that's
offered Lakota, Dakota. We did not offer Nakota because the dialect technically isn't technically within North Dakota's borders. Nueita, Hidatsa, Shamish, and then Anishinaabe or Ojibwe.
That's great. I used to be a TV reporter and I got to go to the Lakota language nest. I can see that.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps even just thinking about it now, seeing the elders talk to toddlers in a room where you don't speak English, and it was just awe-inspiring. It was incredible to see that, virtually a forgotten language was getting new life. So
Absolutely.
I applaud you. I'm so glad that's being taught in our school.
I appreciate that.
Sorry.
I was like, are you guys cutting me off right now?
The music was playing. We don't have the canyon.
So we do have 3 culturally responsible coordinators, which was a position that I formerly held. And those positions are in the school system, working in the buildings, working with students and families, and then staff. on the staff, student and family end, supporting them in whatever they need, you know, families connecting them to community resources, but also helping them to navigate our school system and school specifically. You know, from historical trauma, our families don't feel safe, they don't feel welcome, and our public school settings have perpetuated that notion, and so working to dismantle that and make it a more inclusive environment all around. But obviously my emphasis is in Indigenous peoples and obviously languages and cultures, and it's really exciting, and it's not new, obviously, but I would say that the breath of new life is here, and it's just a really exciting time.
How's it been received? Like, are you seeing a lot of students that want to connect to their culture? And is there, you mentioned the language courses, is there good attendance?
Absolutely. So the language classes are it's a pilot, and of course we're facing roadblocks and just bumps along the way. The only way we were able to really be able to provide the language classes was to partner with tribal colleges, and so it's online. So you know that comes with its own host of, you know, just pros and cons, but just excited that we can even do it. But you know, it's been really well received. And we have, of course, naysayers from all different communities. But really, when we're able to just sit at the table together and speak openly and build community, people really understand why it's important, why it's needed. And we've seen the lack of representation and inaccurate historical narrative that's been, again, perpetuated. And so when we open up and actually talk about an accurate history, then people really begin to understand why it's so important. You know, I've had comments made to me like, well, if they lost their language, well, why would they want it back? Like, why? Like, shouldn't they just be happy that they're assimilated? And so then sitting down and not exploding, like, you know, like one might want to, but really having an open conversation and talking about the importance of language, the importance of culture, and the autonomy and the sovereignty that we have to assert that, and to not only assert it, but to assert it in our public school settings.
I have a question. Well, maybe a two-part question. The first part is, what barriers do you see with the relationship from BPS to the Bismarck City Commissioners and the mayor, if any issues? And how, as an advisory committee, how do you see that working relationship being able to expand on? Because that's something, we don't pass policies, but we absolutely provide that advisory, and the mayor holds us as in his portfolio. And so there might be opportunity for us as a committee to help encourage or to create a setting where we could start supporting you where you see those needs that could be met.
Absolutely. Just to dive right in, I would just say the more representation, the better. I'm one Indigenous person, Nuita and Hanatsa. I'm a citizen of the MHA Nation, but I can't speak, you know, wholly for MHA citizens or all Indigenous people. So just always having that open door, and not only the open door, but seeking people out. I didn't even know this committee existed. And so just even knowing about the committee, I think that's amazing, you know, and to have participation and incorporate local voice. I think that's going to be a game changer in bringing in diverse voices, inclusive voices. You know, it's an exciting time. Barriers are systemic, I would say. So it's tackling them one at a time, from funding to seats at the table. Within Bismarck Public Schools, we have 10.2% of the population is Indigenous, representing over 51 federally recognized tribes. Less than 1% of our staff in Bismarck Public Schools is Indigenous. So that's a glaring factor that we are, you know, intentionally working on. But we actually did a trip out to Turtle Mountain to their teacher prep, and just went over some questions with them for like mock interviews. And overwhelmingly, each participant mentioned that they didn't feel like they could even apply to Bismarck Public Schools. And so breaking down some of those perceived barriers that even exist. let alone being successful and getting hired. So just reaching out to our different communities and supporting their voices, I think is really important.
Yeah, I agree with that, cause I think, I don't know if your HR person, Stacy Geiger, is working on that, but I really feel that's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Stacey is aware, I'm working on it. The exciting part of this position is that I am administration and I'm a direct report to Dr. Hornbacher, our superintendent. And I sit on our executive teaching and learning team. And just even being a part of that team and these different committees, being able to inform our policy, but also just the voice, like, we had one meeting and everybody collectively agreed on something and I said, let's go, hold on, can we just slow down for a second and maybe consider this perspective, and wow, never thought of that perspective before. And so, when we have, voices at the table, and I don't even like to use the word diverse because it implies that it's an othering term, in my opinion.
Have you talked to the school board at all and could have made a presentation to them? I know they're backed up, but I think this would be something for them to tell.
I have not given.
And I know
them
they're busy with other presentations, but it's just interesting.
And that's something that we're working on, and that outreach and
Yeah,
professional development for staff and
yeah, that's a good thing.
administrators in particular, just a lack of traditional schooling, I'll
Do
say.
you have cultural after-school clubs at all the high schools?
So we have one, and that's at BHS, that's the Board Directions Club. I started one at Horizon Middle School because that was one of my schools as a cultural response coordinator, and I had the students vote on their name and give suggestions, and it was between Caminila, which is Lakota for butterfly, and they ended up voting for United Nations Club. So it was pretty interesting.
So is that still active?
So right now it's paused because our new coordinator who is taking the north. There he's talking. I'm just kidding. Every time, so our three computer responsible coordinators are each in a computer system, and I have to never eat soggy wheat. Century is Northwest.
Yeah.
So our Northwest feeder has a new coordinator, and we're letting him get familiarized with his schools and establishing some of those recurring meetings like circle groups. But yes, that will be re-energized as soon as he has his
Yeah,
experience.
I would just invite, if they have students in that group that want to be a liaison, or come make that, I would think we could.
Yeah, it's late agenda, but we are looking for, so that's kind of why I asked that, in different groups. I mean, if you have students that would want to be a part of that, I think it'd be amazing to have someone.
But I know the transportation and time is gonna be the biggest thing.
Absolutely, but as far as high school, we are working with United Tribes Technical College. It's called the Monarch Project. They just received a pretty extensive grant, and so within that grant, they're hiring 3 student success coaches that will be placed at each of the high schools to work specifically with Indigenous students, and then
Yeah.
one family engagement specialists. And so we're just working on hiring those people right now, which is really exciting. So as far as transportation, they have flexible hours. If that's something that we could just write in, I mean, what a great experience for students to have.
Yeah, to be able.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I didn't know about the grant, and I know how for families, transportation can be a big problem.
Absolutely.
So are there any activities that you can think of that your group or your students would want to partner with the HRC on? So part of what we do is, as Randy mentioned, we serve as an advisory committee to the city commission, so we can, make recommendations to them. But we also have what we call Diversity University. And right now, every year, we have 2 projects that we do that's aimed at education and outreach to build a more inclusive community. So are there any activities that you have coming up or any ideas that you have that we might have an opportunity to work with the students on?
oh, I mean, there's always, something new that we're doing with the students, but even just their classes, that's something that we offer the service of coming in to do classroom modeling, but with the intentionality that that's building capacity for that classroom teacher or, and at all levels. So if it's a class project or a project that they're doing maybe with the Monarch, project through UTDC or specifically our cultural responsive coordinators, Native American Heritage Month is coming up. And I always give a disclaimer that it's not the only time that we should see Indigenous peoples represented, but it's low hanging fruit, right? It's a great opportunity.
We have 1 month a year as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And during that 1 month, I usually complain that but yes, so just.
Yeah, cause what I was thinking, Christopher, that cultural dinner, it would be nice to have, cause it's about culture, a few students there would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to attend, so the students are actually the ones that prepare the meal, serve the meal and do that, so. That,
Yeah, but just.
And I
to
think James
repair-
will have an update on that, but I mean, there is a student involvement on that, but
Yeah.
one thing that we've talked about wanting to do for many years is traditional Native American cuisine, whether it would be, it could be really from any tribe represented in North Dakota, but I had big dreams that I was gonna get the sous chef here.
Oh, I love Sean, that is.
How do you know him?
I know him like very well. I don't wanna be like, oh, Sean and I are totally tight. I did some lessons with his materials with the students, and he would cook, some of his, yeah,
Sure.
and just super exciting.
So she could be our gal.
Got the end.
Yeah.
Got the end.
This is why when I went to Dr. Hornbacher and said, the HRC is trying to engage with students and all cultures, her name came right to the top. It was immediate with Dr. Hornbacher. And I think at that time you were probably just getting
Oh,
started
yeah.
in your role. And that was probably back in April or May, I think or June that I had met with him. So, his recommendation appears to be spot on for this group, so.
Oh, shoot, and I told Dr. Rebecca, I was like, you can't be volunteering me for everything, I have so much time, but no, this is definitely something that I want to be.
But he's really, I mean, in a sense, he's volunteering us because we're looking for those partnerships with different programs. So if there's something that comes to mind, it doesn't always occur to us being the
Yeah.
talking heads in the room. But we love it when people come to us with opportunities to partner and connect and, whether it's project-based or serving as a voice to the city commission. So please just keep us in mind.
I had mentioned this to Jason, to getting, your information out to my coordinators, and then when they're working with their students, I mean, letting their creativity, flow and just being like, hey, well, this could be something that we can take to the next level. Commissioner Erica Thunder is one of my good friends, and knowing the connection with tribal sovereignty and then state-run, city-run organizations and government, on those connections and how they're connected but separate, and making sure that our students know how to navigate those as well. I think it's just a really exciting opportunity.
I agree. That's fantastic. I am really excited to kind of to actually see how this is gonna unfold, because I feel like this is an entry level conversation and that there's so much that we get to build on top of that from.
And I'm just so jealous of the students because I feel like I didn't learn much of a tribal education.
Yeah,
And
well, that's what I was
went
like,
to
I
college.
wanted to take.
And it was Dr.
Native.
Perry, is it Perry Hornbacher at Bismarck State? I think it is. I
Yes.
think it's Perry Hornbacher, but he really just, a lot of history books just kind of gloss over that period, and he just dove right in, and it was really eye-opening to me. And my husband works down at the Standing Rock tribe, so I've had a really good opportunity to have exposure to some of the culture down there, and I wish I would have had some exposure to that earlier on in life. I don't know if, perhaps you're just looking for Indigenous people in those classes, but I would have loved to sign up and learn more about those languages and the culture and the art forms that were lost, so.
Well, we have French language in high school and there's.
Yeah.
Huge population. Huge. Just
I took 4 years of French, and let me tell you, I went to
Dude.
France twice and I barely got to use it. Because they told me I didn't, speak English. Like, you're not doing
So-
it. So.
I would just offer to you that, I have some resources too, if you get an indigenous student or Native American student that has disabilities,
Absolutely.
I have resources for them. Well, they can get help,
I would love that. I would love to connect with you on that.
Yeah.
Cause that,
because if they have CP or any of those related to disabilities, I know the system, so.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm always learning, always looking for opportunities to learn more. I took Latin in high school, so I would have loved to have been able to take me away to our class. Sorry, some of them got a little bent up in my purse, but, we're not just looking for indigenous peoples in these classes, or these opportunities, because it's about building community. And building that collective community means you're building trust, and it means you have transparency and accuracy. And so it goes to building trust at the fundamental levels. And I didn't learn anything about indigenous peoples. I was born and raised here in Bismarck, graduated from BHS in 2012. Went to University of North Dakota and took my first intro to Indigenous studies, and I was pissed. I was livid that I had never been exposed or taught an accurate history, or, one thing that got me was that Indigenous women were forcibly sterilized in the 70s and 80s, and we have documented cases up until 2015. That was my mom's generation. 2015, that's me. I was in college at that time. It's disturbing. And so being intentional about changing this narrative, the last thing I'll just say before I cut myself off, is I just want to say thank you for having me, and I just really appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you all more, and answering additional questions. If I went off of the template that we're supposed to use, but
Looks good.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming.
Yeah.
It was so great to meet you.
Yes,
And thank you for the work you're doing in our schools.
I appreciate that.
Can we connect outside of here? I just wanna talk more with you about some Two-Spirit stuff.
Absolutely. One of my best friends is actually did their master's in Indigenous studies and queer identity and Two-Spirit people. So
Okay,
I got lots of good resources for the gamut.
good. That's wonderful. Thank you.
I'm excited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in so much.
And I'm sorry to skip out, but I told my dad I would grab a dinner or something.
So for all this anyway.
My mom actually passed away in 2019, and so we try to rotate, with our schedules to make sure that somebody's got him covered at all times. Not at all times, he's doing okay, but.
One thing for the group, if I may, part of the role that we serve as staff is to be that bridge between people like yourself and these committees. So for committee members or for you, Sachet, feel free to use either Whitney or I if there's something you'd like to bring to the group. Or if the group says, hey, we gotta get her back, we need some more energy, we need some stuff, then use us as that staff resource, and we will make those connections. Not that any of you can't have conversations outside of this meeting with anybody, but if there are multiple ideas or just multiple voices, it might just be easier as a single point of contact for us to be able to provide that service, so.
Absolutely, I have more than enough energy to give, so. And by the way, my nickname is Sassy. Everybody calls me Sassy, mostly just Sass, so feel free to do so.
I really
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you for having me, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See if I can,
that elevator.
take on.
It's not bad going down, Brandon.
Oh,
It's
all
going
quad
down.
going down, that's the word. I always am horse clogging down the stairs. I'm feather toeing up and
Yeah, I played volleyball and soccer and stuff. Well, my knees a little bit.
horse clogging down.
the next item is HRC goal. Yep. A diversity university, any update on that, James?
Yep, absolutely. So everybody, Whitney and I had a conversation with Kim Hertz, and thanks to Krista for connecting us with Kim. She is the faculty member from Legacy High School that in the past has helped coordinate with the students for the cultural dinner. And the big question was, is there interest in doing this again this year? And if we would have just said, if there's interest in doing this again, the answer was absolutely. It's this year she has a concern. She has a concern with all things COVID. She has a concern with investing time, energy, and effort into something that may not come to fruition. She was very willing to look at something, as I wrote here, there's a possibility of something in the future. Maybe something on a smaller scale. Let me just read my notes here. She said, if someone would be available to come in and help with the educational component of the cultural meals, that would be something she would be looking for. World cuisine curriculum is part of their classwork. And she asked if there was anyone within the HRC that could help in that thread. We mentioned Manisha's video that was filmed earlier to just kind of show as one example. Let's see.
So that would be as an alternate activity this year, that's somebody from our community.
Correct,
Okay.
yes, if there was something that the HRC wanted to engage in, if Manisha or anybody would be interested, she said, yes, bring them in, talk about the culture, talk about, why it's significant to this group and then what it would mean to the students and our community. But the full blown, let's invite a bunch of people over for a meal and charge tickets and things, but this time she said, I'm just not quite ready for that. I think we can understand why, and it was certainly not for lack of interest or not for lack of want, it's just lack of anything certain at this point moving forward. So, so if you're comfortable, I'd be happy to try and connect with her. We'll see, where this pandemic takes us, but I got the impression it might be a spring semester effort, if that's something that she was interested in, or potentially something next year if we're beyond where we are today. So.
Is Manisha on the call? I don't recognize the
I
numbers.
think she's.
I am. Yes, I am. Hi, Jason. I was waiting for you to finish. And so I have a few follow-up questions because I am having a little bit of a difficult time following everything that she's saying. Sometimes people are just speaking very fast, and that's okay. You don't have to speak slow just because I am on the phone today. But quickly, forgive me if you've already addressed it. Did you just say that they're possibly looking to have this as an event in the spring?
Yes, potentially if the COVID numbers are down again and it's safe to gather and do so in a traditional format, then yes, she would be looking at something potentially next spring, but nothing for the fall semester.
Okay, and then I think you mentioned that we could have them watch the video, but because I agree. I mean, we're not out of COVID yet, so we should plan more COVID-friendly activities. So if they were going to watch the video and then they wanted to talk about the benefits of eating butter chicken, I would be happy to do that. But I think I'll also love the opportunity to share about my culture, but I also want to be very cognizant of the fact that there are other cultures as well and other individuals who might want to help. So I am open to it, but at the same time, it does not have to necessarily be just me.
Manisha, would you be comfortable presenting it in front of the class rather than just having the video shown? Is that something you'd be able to do?
So when you say presenting, are we looking at doing the cooking demonstration again? Is that what you meant?
So that's what they've done in the past. If she's wanting to, if she's looking for an element of this cultural dinner, and that's what I think she might be referring to. What happened was, I think it was a 2-class period commitment where a member or a volunteer would come in, they'd teach the students about their culture, just, you know, a 10-15 minute presentation at most on that. And then they go into the cooking demonstration and they would cook it for the students. And then the students could try the food while they were there. And then the second session would be the students are making the food and you would be there to assist.
Okay, so it would be a 2-hour, 2-session commitment then, and, you know, approximately it takes about an hour to cook that dish.
But it's not the class periods, because this is a culinary arts program. They're not just, they're not traditional. Legacy does structures their classes.
Ah,
So I
okay.
can't remember the amount of time that's allowed at each class. We'd probably have to refer to Kim for that, but I think it's, you know, a couple hours each session.
It's either
That they
40,
have.
60, or 90 if it's legacy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be the 90 then.
So a couple of things, I will have to look at my spring schedule because I do teach as well. And, you know, I'll be happy to, like I said, I could very well go in and cook, although I'll prepare. I think I would want to do it in a way where instead of showing it to students, I do it with them, because I think that way they don't just sit and watch and then recreate it the next. Can't we, is there an option for us to have them do it, you know, talk about the ingredients beforehand and then walk them through how to do it as I am doing it, as I am cooking? Can they do it along with me?
They do have they each have kitchens in there. I think for whatever reason, Kim had them do it the other way before, but I think if it's something you wanted to do, you could probably have those discussions with Kim. She's really easy to work with. I'm sure she'd be
Okay.
open
Yeah.
for discussion on how to present it.
Another thing I was gonna just mention, maybe we do wanna wait until spring because we don't know what COVID.
That would just be when you should go in
Yeah.
yourself.
This is very different, Trevor. She's looking to fill their world foods, that part of their curriculum. And they're looking for someone to come in and teach something
That's
that
fine,
would fulfill
just
them.
so we don't have big groups going in school.
No, there wouldn't be a cultural dinner this fall. At the soonest, it would be next spring. Or if, you know, spring things aren't looking great, then we can probably, part of me thinks we just hold off until next fall on bringing people in, just so that we can keep that familiar schedule. But I won't be here anymore, so that's the joy of it. You guys get to make that decision.
One thing, Manisha, that Ms. Hertz did mention is that Indian food was done in the past as a cultural dinner,
Right.
but none of these students were part of that class. So
Oh,
the idea before, when it was open to the community, that there would be different options year after year. But if it's something more, where it's you working with the students independently, these students have never seen this stuff before. So it would be a brand new experience for all of them.
And I would say
Yeah,
too, you wouldn't want to introduce a new cuisine this year if we're not having the cultural dinner, because then it's a missed opportunity for something bigger. So I think if Manisha feels up to this, I think we have an excellent resource right here on our committee. I don't know why we wouldn't use it, as long as she is up for it.
And she specifically asked if there was anyone within the group that could bring that authentic cultural experience to the table. So,
oh, okay, then sign me up.
There you go.
okay. If it's all right with you, Manisha, I will try and reconnect with Kim Hertz and maybe just fill her in on where we're at. And then if she has an interest, can I share your contact information with her, and then I'll get out of the way and let the two of you really get into the details?
Absolutely, sounds
Okay.
good with me.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Manisha,
Pleasure.
I'm not surprised that was her response. I'm so mad at COVID right now.
yeah.
I was so over it. I want to go to Disney World so bad.
It's just not over yet.
No.
Okay, the next item is item B, the municipal infrastructure index rating.
Municipal Equality Index.
Yep.
Jason, do you wanna offer anything, or you want me to
Yeah.
go ahead?
Is everyone okay if I drop it for a second? Okay. I can't talk through bluff math. So Jason and Renee and Whitney and I had an opportunity to get together and go over the MEI that we most recently got, which was this one, yes, for 2021. We were not able to complete it before the due date of 2021 or do updates on it, so we're working on what we can improve going into next year. We were able to meet with Renee and find out that a lot of the things we already have in place for programs that we support, but are not well known within our community, nor does the Bismarck departments know how to utilize them or get the word out. So we did a lot of brainstorming on ways to improve outreach within our community to services that the city already offers, which would then start bringing up our MEI because we're actively working on reaching a targeted community. A lot of the MEI indexes, we have things out there, but they are not targeted to the populations. And they are not, it's just like public health has a open, diverse, regulations that everyone will be served, which is amazing, but this MEI is to see where we are actually doing outreach to communities that are struggling or need more outreach that's targeted, such as aging LGBTQI plus communities, trans youth, different things along those lines. So Renee is working on that and searching and digging and doing what she can to figure out with her staff what they are doing or can promote to bring those certain areas up. We also know that the Bismarck Police Department already has the training that was supplied by people within our organization and community for LGBTQ outreach and, can you correct me, liaison within the force. I think that's where we were working on things. Oh, also the Bismarck Public Library, the Bismarck City Administration was gonna do some outreach to different areas within the department already to see what they have set up and already in place to bring about a more coordinated effort among departments within the city and bring everyone up to the same level that is possible. As well as things such as beginning to target communities for outreach, such as within our health departments, having signs that talk about, do you know about the Ryan White program or HIV programs that the city helps provide? Do you know that we have trans health care and whatnot within our city that is accessible? Do you know about bullying of LGBTQ youth and how you can help prevent it? And so beginning to target these areas within our community. Is that about right?
Yes, and the only thing that I would add,
So much.
through our conversations with Renee, we quickly learned that there are things within this scorecard that just simply didn't get reported that we're already doing and have been doing for years in many cases. For example, some of what they call flex points, or basically their bonus points, as I understand them. 2 points for city provides services to LGBTQ youth. Yes, absolutely. City provides services to LGBTQ people experiencing homelessness. Yes, absolutely. So some of those things, again, just not getting reported, but then part of the conversation with Renee was to help develop the documentation to verify to the MEI scorecard that these are in fact the ways that things are getting done. And then there's no question whether or not the city deserves those points. So
So how does this work from here? Do they then approach us like in a year, let us know what our scorecard is, and then we have to respond to it, or can we send things out throughout the year that
it's
we have come up?
my understanding that there's a reporting period, and that's what we missed earlier this year. There was a letter mailed to the mayor's office, to the mayor directly, and the letter didn't get opened in time. And we've now remedied that. We're opening the mayor's mail for him, so we don't run into those problems in the future. But the scorecard is compiled and then they kick it out to us as kind of a draft, and if we want to contend or contest the scoring, then there's that open period to demonstrate that. But I think to answer your question all the way, Sargiana, I don't know exactly how the reporting works throughout the year, so that's something that we will be working on. If Jason learns or if we figure it out, we'll make sure that it gets done because,
Jason, do you know, not to put you on the spot, do you know who was filling out that scorecard before?
honestly, I do not.
Okay. 'Cause I
It
just.
sounds like no one if the mail's not being opened on time.
But somebody had to be compiling these scores because we didn't get a zero.
Right.
There was some recognition of the work that was being done, whether that was through the police department or just a general baseline score, I guess I really don't know.
HRC could have been pulling data that was publicly accessible.
Yeah,
You
'cause
know?
I mean, they do have their form, like how they come up with their information, but most of it is supposed to be going through the city council and for the final bit of it. I wanna jump in real quick with the MEI information, so with my transition, I work on the 501c4 side of HRC. And the 501c3 side is the one that does this MEI scorecard index rating. They also do a corporate one. And I told them about this, how the Human Relations Committee had taken this on and kind of the work that was already being put in, and then our timeline. And so the two individuals who actually review and analyze the reporting and put this stuff together and send out the reports are really interested in actually working directly with the committee. To help, so some of the questions and the documentation and all of those things that you're like, well, we have these, but are we doing this right? They would actually provide that assistance and support so that if there's something already existent, how can you make it more visible with the outreach? If there isn't something existent, what is it that they are really asking for? And so before I provided your contact information, I just wanted to bring it to the committee first and just share that information and see if that's something that the Jasons and essentially like and like Renee, you know, kind of the department leads that we had identified in the initial proposal to the city commission. If this is something that you know you'd be comfortable with me sharing the contact information, and then they would be able to provide kind of that back end assistance as needed. You know, they wanna, if you were wanting as a committee to bring them in to ask them, that might take a little more time. I don't know if they do things like that, but they were pretty excited that this is something that the Human Relations Committee had taken on and were actively and avidly working on, and that there was city approval. And so they wanted to show the committee support in the way that they can. And so they might be able to actually help answer some questions on what documentation is needed and how to make that more visible. And they work in all 50 states, and I know that they've been able to help in some of those states with like the foster care systems and getting the support needed and the AIDS outreach. There's a specific program, there's specific programs that the 501c3 side actually has that we as a committee can utilize that we just were unaware of. And so I just wanted to bring that to the table and pretty much give permission to like share your contact information with them. If that would be helpful.
I'm always up for a good training.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think
Awesome.
it would,
And they would be able to kind of say like, is this training for the whole committee or is this for like city specific? I didn't dive in that deep, just so everyone's aware. Like,
I would say at this point, if they can help us as staff, help you as a committee, then that's absolutely our role here.
awesome.
And if you, Jason, have an interest in this as a member of the committee, as a quote unquote liaison, and you and I are on this trip together,
Okay,
buckle up, let's go.
yeah,
So
I
I
will,
think
The two Jasons, they don't even know where to come.
I know. Double J.
I think it would be nice to sit in, you know, and be able to be a part of it. Because there is also the other aspects that we had that's on hold for now, which is the interest from the business community.
Correct.
And they have the corporate MEI index.
They
So
do.
I could help connect that outside once we've ran through our program.
Yeah, and they were very willing to support on that side as well. So I mean, they haven't worked with a whole lot of direct city committees, so there was a lot of interest from their end because they just don't see that often where people actually take it serious. Well, and I shouldn't say where they don't take it serious, but where they are asking to utilize their help and support, so.
And one other thing, not only would I become, part of the liaison to this group, but then I would absolutely be the coordinator process and organization. It would be my job to work with all the department directors
Fantastic.
when it's necessary to say, this is why we're doing this and this is what it means and this is how we're going to do it. And it would just become another function of this office and it's in support of what this group is doing and us as an organization, as a community.
You have to get that, not really, you wouldn't have to tell the city commission you're a coordinator, because you're already kind of the liaison for this.
I would agree with that, Trevor. I'm functioning in a role of support. And I would consider this support, and it would just be something that would hopefully be included with the annual report to say, hey, city staff and the committee are working on these things in concert, and here's what they're doing and why it matters. So.
But it seems to me, Jason, there was just a lot of things not getting reported too.
I think that's the biggest question, and as we go through this training, we'll probably learn how it was getting reported and why it didn't get reported, but going forward, as long as I'm here, I don't see us ever missing another opportunity to fill out the scorecard the right way, so.
One thing I would like to touch on, if that's all right, if I jump in.
Yeah.
To me, when I was looking at all the other MEI scores across the, region, there had to have been somebody reporting this because there are predominant cities that are just zeros across the board. And so whether it's been 10 years since it's been reported, or if there was one person in one department that took it upon themselves to get some reporting out there, who knows? It just seems as if at some point there was interest in this. And so I like to give the city props when we're able to, that somebody did take it upon themselves.
Yeah, and that's good too.
In the time.
If I had to guess which department was responsible for completing this, I would guess it's the police department. Primarily because of their LEA, and I forget what it stands for, it's an acronym, but they are an accredited police department, and not all police departments are. Their accreditation cycle, I believe, is every 3 years, and essentially as soon as the third year finishes, they pick it up and start over again the next year. We have one full-time person that's dedicated just to police department accreditation. It could land on that person's desk. I just don't know that yet.
Chief Drovovich was very aware of this and seemed pretty familiar with it, so that doesn't surprise me. And I will say Officer Horn had reached out late last week, and she is the police department liaison, to actually receive additional ongoing training. And since I've stepped out of the organization and was providing it from there, that is something that I connected her with the other organization, but if that's something, I think that she should also connect with you, just so that there's ongoing communication from the department end as well. So, I mean, they're pretty on top, they seem to be on, aware and on top of that and wanting to continue finding ways to have a lot of community engagement. And they are the one department I've seen from the city. They were at the street fair and Pride, and I've seen them at other things as well. So they are putting more of a spotlight out there. So if this helps in any way, awesome. So that's just a little bit of the update I wanted to share. I know it's not a lot that I'm putting forth, but hopefully making that connection can be helpful.
Who was the organization that did the training?
DHRC, and they do have the training. They have now at least that training, and it's enhanced. And so I can connect you with Barry and Sean so that you can review that training. Well, the training wasn't created by them.
Right.
It was a third party. So I can just kind of do some introduction emails on my way out.
Okay. Yeah, because being able to know where we can refer organizations
Yes.
or departments for more training, at least, so feel would be good as a community to have
Yeah.
resources for.
Is this your last meeting, Randy?
That's an other business.
Okay. You're saying on your way out, I'm like, is it now? Is it today? Okay, I will wait. I will patiently wait. Impatient.
Oh, impatient.
So progress, but more work to do, I think is the best way to sum it up, so.
But like, really, I like that the more work to do actually is really specific, and 'cause to me, that's exciting, more work to do. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't-
One last thing, because I know for timeliness, I just thought it was really cool Renee's response of, you know, we may not have this, but we'll have pamphlets made up. We'll have things in lobbies, we'll have signs up, we'll have access. The public library probably already has extensive stuff that just other departments don't know about. So just this connecting the dots, even by looking at this and making this a project.
Yeah.
Is getting coordination that wasn't there, but was there, if that makes any sense.
Oh.
Well, and all staff that we've met with from the get-go have been so on board. It's just been really incredible to receive such positive reactions and responses and eagerness. And so I think that being able to also highlight that in some capacity, in the outreach and the effort to show like the city of Bismarck is, you know, has maybe a stereotype that isn't as true to what the staff's response actually really is. So minimal representation on like an overall scale, I think has been imbalanced, and I think it's really important that we find ways to highlight the immediate response that has been so overwhelmingly positive.
Yes.
Is it possible, Jason, to get Christine from the library involved? Christine?
She is.
Oh, she is,
Yeah.
great. Cause I haven't seen much about this, I have ended up in the library and I was just in there for another meeting, so.
Nice.
So I haven't seen none of this hung up, but maybe I'm missing something.
And Trevor, if and when we do go through the training and I personally have a better understanding of all of this, then that would be, my responsibility would be to share that with the other directors. And we meet regularly as directors just to talk about stuff like this, and a message like this coming from city administration to the other 13 departments is very common, because we coordinate and work to support all of their efforts. So for us to take the lead on this one, and then for others to say, yep, I can help, or I'm already doing this, or I'm a part of that, that's all it takes.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll be a good project. The next item is student liaison.
So, for the group, I have had a conversation and traded some emails with an instructor at the Career Academy. His name is David St. Peter. Mr. St. Peter is the faculty member in charge of the Innovation Pathway, which is a project for students to get engaged in. This is, of course, relating to the logo, the revised logo that has been a request of this group. Up to this point, I filled out some paperwork to help develop what they call a project charter. It identifies the objective, the overview, it frames some key questions for the students. We list the problem statement and then talk about the deliverables. So with all of that information, the kids can then pick this up and decide, do they want to work on this project or not? At Mr. St. Peter's request, one other thing that was done by Krista was a 5-minute video with an introduction of who the HRC is, what the group does, why the logo is important. She touched on some of the deliverables, the vector art. I'm losing my words.
Brand standards.
Brand standards, a brand guideline. So then we're talking about, you know, the font, the color. When it comes time to reproduce that final product, if you go to a print shop or a t-shirt shop or something, they're going to want those kind of that pedigree information that goes along with the product. And so all of these things have been compiled in a nice little bundle, and as Mr. St. Peter put it, it's on the project board. So what does that mean? this, the narrative, the project overview gets put up on a cork board, and the students, as I understand it, have an opportunity to review these, and then they choose the projects that are most interesting to them. So the long and short of this is they are working through those initial steps right now. I have yet to hear back from Mr. St. Peter to know if any students have picked this up or would like to know more. But also, Krista and I have kind of volunteered ourselves to answer questions for the students and again, be that liaison. And for those of you that may not know this, Krista's day job is
I'll step out for a minute.
okay. Trevor's gonna take a call call. Krista's day job is in professional communications. So as far as, talking the talk, that's Krista's role. So she understands her stuff very well, and I think it's a great opportunity to use her talents and skills to help these students get a better idea of what this group is looking for. In the end, we did ask that the project be completed by essentially the end of the year or semester time. We'll know more as the students get engaged and the project grows legs, but I think if it's all right with the group, if we can just leave this on as a monthly update, I'd be happy to keep everybody aware of what's going on. Assuming this project gets picked by some of the students, then I would encourage the students to come to this meeting, meet with the rest of you, to have a better understanding from your voices and ideas what the HRC is about, and then maybe give them a little direction and some guidance. As they get moving on the project, Mr. St. Peter was looking for someone in our organization to provide constructive criticism and feedback, and maybe these colors, maybe these fonts, and just some nudges along the way. So I would expect that we would see a variety of drafts, but more than likely, the students can't wait a month for every feedback they would need. So if the group is comfortable to allow me to serve in that role, I'd be happy to answer any questions. We as the city of Bismarck just had our brand standards updated, and I will share that material with Mr. St. Peter, just to help get the students aware of what a brand standards guideline or document actually looks like. It's fairly robust. I don't know if we'll get to quite that level of professionalism, but I think that we're gonna end up with a really good outcome at the end.
I love that. It's exciting.
And he asked for that video. I think he gave me, I was traveling, I remember, so I think he only gave me like 2 business days to get to it. But I anticipated, it was not my best work. I was gonna put videos in it and make it cute, and so it was just me like rambling about the project. But I think he must have been playing them there must be an assignment where he was putting them up. Because it was specific by the end of the day or before Tuesday.
Sure.
So hopefully, I think, was that last week or the week prior?
I think it was the week prior. It was the end of the week prior.
So I wonder if they.
Yeah,
if they've already seen it.
I can sure check back with him, much like with Sachet. We as staff, if you guys are okay with that, we'd be happy to continue that conversation, and then regular updates and just sharing information as we go. But he was genuinely interested. He said, if you have more projects, meaning we as the city of Bismarck, the kids are always looking for that real life experience when they can be a part of something that in the real world, they're walking around and say, I help with that logo, or I help with that material, because it's so much more impactful than these made up fictitious generic situations. So this is really a win-win for all parties involved here.
Would we recognize them somehow for designing the logo? I don't know.
I think that would be completely appropriate if it could work, and that might be something that our city commission is always interested or willing to put groups in front and shine a light on the good work that's being done, or city departments that receive an award or get some sort of achievement. I would say this is absolutely something that needs to be in front of the commission, because it shows the work this committee is doing. You're checking boxes with engaging with students. You're updating brand standards. That's a big thing, because we've just done it. It just shows.
Yeah, I know we were in the last commission meeting. Yeah, I forget what we were there for. We were hoping a picture, but they didn't do it that night. I think I was with Brandy when that award was given. So we would like a picture for publicity too,
Absolutely. I think that makes, and just like Ms. Shetler said, it raises awareness of who this group is. If somebody says, I've never heard of them and look what they're doing, check another box on your goals list for 2021. So.
Do you have any update on the actual student liaisons though, through Bismarck Public Schools?
We kind of got three different pieces of it this way. And maybe that was my misunderstanding, and I guess we'd have to ask Manisha what, her initial intent was behind student liaisons, but to me, it's just simply engaging and working with students. Now, I think there was a time where there was a desire to have students come to this meeting and be a part of some of these things. I would say we can achieve that if these students pick up this local project. I would absolutely invite them here for a very robust discussion between all of you to help get them understanding what the process should look like. If
And
we-
the kids at the Career Academy, they're any of the high schools, correct?
Correct, including Mandan.
Okay.
I think it's great, and personally, I have no problem with city staff, handling those communications, because you're right, fortunate or unfortunate, because I don't know how much time we want to spend in meetings, right, as a volunteer committee, but it does put some limitations on how quickly we're able to respond. So if city staff is willing and able to respond on behalf of the committee, I think that's great.
I agree.
And then how about, participate in community events, I kind of doubt we have done anything because of COVID with that.
Well, one thing that I had sent to Whitney today, we had a discussion last meeting that we would do kind of a synopsis of events after you do them. So I put one together and I just only have sent it to Whitney so far because I did it in the middle of the day, but in regards to Pride and how that event went and how we scheduled the people to volunteer, what different items that we bought as far as swag goes or to give away, and then what we may need to look for in the future as far as if we do that event again, which would be, in my opinion, I had written, I think, looking at more items specifically, because we had ran out.
Out of almost everything.
Yeah, and that they were all popular, and maybe looking at that in the future, how many what numbers we would need as far as items. And then also I put to make sure we have a banner, which we didn't have because we lost it, and no one knows where it's at, but just a few things. As far as feedback, I think we should do that kind of for each event. So then the next year you can look at, oh, this went well, this one did it, what do we need to work on? Was that a good way of scheduling volunteers? Is 2 the number we should have per shift, or is 2-hour shifts good, or what we need to do as far as that goes? I do need to change it a little because I do need to get the numbers from Jason, to see like how many different like sunglasses we had, how many stickers we had, how much everything. So we know how the cost would be done. I think the sunglasses are probably the most popular.
Yeah, those are the fans are gone. Which was right under.
It's better than the year that
Hang on,
Shay and I were in charge of
hang on.
things for Pride. We brought chocolate.
That's right.
It was melted, yeah. Well, Shay brought chocolate.
Yep.
I just didn't want to wear it.
Look at the
But-
minutes.
Oh, I did too. He kept telling me that people, it's like, it's melted now, but if you put it in the freezer, it'll be fine. Yeah. But, when I was younger, we used to put like Snickers bars on plate and microwave them and eat them melted. It's weird. I don't know.
I used to do the same with Hershey's cookie bakery bars. No, I like that idea, Sarge, because then it just has consistency, and then as people come and go off the committee, they don't have to feel like they're starting over from scratch either. You have
It's
like a
also,
point of
yeah,
reference.
and it's also easier for whoever's doing the annual report, because they don't have to
Which
just.
is me.
Well, there you go. You don't have to just write it all of the.
And then I
or
wrote
every-
like who our contact was for who we ordered the stuff through.
That's
So if we like them, we can go with them again. So, yeah. I'll just update that one. So I'll do that for all the events too. And then I also started a folder in OneDrive of all the pictures we have for the year for the annual report, and then I'll just put that all together too. I don't know, do you guys want me to send like the pictures that we have and everything? Okay.
Absolutely. Whitney uses those pictures when updating the brochures. If we're also looking for things on social media, which this office produces those on behalf of the organization, anytime we have fresh, current pictures, we're happy to use them.
Okay.
That's awesome.
And then I think we'll go to any other business.
Excuse me.
I have a couple things. I don't know if you want to go first or last. One was at our last meeting, the issue of attendance was raised, and I think Darcy was gonna have a few conversations with a couple of our board members who hadn't been attending many meetings, so I just was checking to see if those conversations happened. I know at least one of them isn't here today, so I don't know if we need to advertise for open positions or if those have already been advertised based on your conversations, Darcy.
Actually, nobody's absent today.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, so Colley's no longer on the committee then already.
So he came late,
He's there.
he's at the top there, that 3890 phone number.
Okay. So then everybody should be still in good standing, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then the other one, the question that I had was regarding Dr. Roswick's award, and if city staff had reached out to see how we could present that to him.
Not yet. It's, I saw the award last week. We have it in our file room. I apologize. We'll add that to my to-do list.
Jason, I would be more than willing to, as vice chair, as possibly, even if it's just me having to present it to him so we could get a picture or something.
It's my understanding that he has since retired
Yes.
from
He
practice.
has, but.
So we will find a way to connect with him and hopefully we can have a report at the next meeting.
Sounds great. That's all I have. I have some other business I mentioned a little earlier, but tonight is my last meeting with the Human Relations Committee as I am moving to Denver next month. And so I just wanted to make sure that I was passing along in whatever I was participating in, and if there are any questions or follow-up, I can still be reached by, email or phone, but I'm really excited with all the movement that has been happening, and a part of me is just like, it feels like now that things have momentum is when I'm like leaving, which I hope to be able to recreate some of that momentum in my new community that I'll be present in. But just know that North Dakota is actually one of the states that I'm overseeing. In my role, they added a few extra states that are similar to North Dakota politics to my roster. So I'll be back and forth, and hopefully I'll be able to work in a different capacity with you all, so. But this is, just kind of stepping away because I will be leaving.
Okay, Jason, do we need to do anything as far as getting a member?
Well, Trevor and other members, so the last time we had a vacancy, we actually received a very high number of applications. And one thought that we had is we would reach into that pool of applicants to see if any of those individuals are still interested in volunteering. If the answer is no from those individuals, I want to say there were probably 4 or 5 applications that we had. If the answer is no across the board, then we would simply just advertise it as an open position and take applications at large. So within now that it's, I guess, official, you heard rumors, but I don't think you were at the last meeting or.
No, I had told Whitney I wasn't gonna be there, although I had an orientation, but.
That's right,
And
So,
I had told Whitney, like, I was like, September will be my last, but.
and we didn't want to start the search before it was official. So I have the list of applicants here. We will check into that. And then the way it works, going forward, the mayor reviews the applications and then it's ultimately his recommendation to the city commission. And the city commission votes on the mayor's recommendation. So we have a meeting next week on Tuesday, the 28th. The agenda items are due by noon tomorrow. I'll see if I can get to the mayor before then. If not, then we would have somebody for the first meeting in October, which is, I think, maybe like October 10th, which would be ahead of this meeting. So what I'm saying here, I guess the city commission will need 2 more times before this group meets again in October. So there's a good chance we should have a new person ready for the October meeting.
And generally that goes on consent agenda
Correct.
when it goes on there.
Yes, it does. It would not be anything, unless the commissioners wanted to pull it for discussion, we would handle that through a memo that just simply covers the report. So
How many, committee members are coming off in January, do we know?
Whitney, do you have the list of folks?
No.
She's given me the 3 sign,
Okay.
so,
It was Brandy, Holly, and Krista.
okay,
So then Brandy's term will be an unexpired term
okay.
that will then have to apply again.
Yep, so for anybody that's listening that wasn't able to hear that, it's Brandy, Collie, and Krista. And Krista's term is up because you have served 2 full terms, correct? Brandy's term would be an unfinished term or an unfulfilled term, so then that would be a partial term for that appointment. The other 2 would be full 3-year appointments.
So the reason I brought that up is, you know, sometimes when we've put out advertisement for the open positions, it's taken a little while to get applicants. I'm wondering, how many applicants do you have from the last pool? Do we have enough to fill those 3 positions?
We have 6.
Okay, so are we required to advertise for open positions?
Typically, we do. We even require that if you're an existing member and your term is up and you would like to serve again, we ask that you reapply, just in the spirit of fairness and transparency. These applications, just looking at them, we've got one dated March of 2020, November of 2020. Let's see a date on, January of 2021. October of 20, September of 20, October of 20, so these are a year old at this point. We may find that it may just be easier to just do an application at large for a vacant position as opposed to these folks. And we could contact these folks and say, hey, we got your application. It's been a year. If you're interested, you could reapply and go about it that way. We'll talk about it tomorrow as a group and decide, but either way, we'll do our best to make sure that the announcement gets out there. We always do a media package for local news, the Tribune, KFYR, KX. The radio stations all get it. And of course, we'll do a social media push to get people aware. We'll put it on our website. So it's not just this quiet announcement. We try and make sure everybody that can grab it and share that information has an opportunity to do so.
How long do you advertise it for?
I think in the past, it's been 3 or 4 weeks.
We may not have someone by then, basically, if you do it that long.
If we did it as a general open application, we wouldn't have somebody for October. If we are able to pull from the stack, we could have somebody for the next meeting.
But we will pull Brandy off, so that changes it temporarily to an 8-person committee. So then the quorum is 4.
Okay, so again, for the folks in Teams land, with Brandy's position, with her resignation, it takes the group down to 8, so then it makes the quorum 4 instead of 5. So if we have a struggle with attendance, we can have a meeting with a smaller batch. We've had to do that in the past when we didn't have a full 9-person committee, so.
And then when would we advertise the open positions? Because the next committee members would take place in February, right?
Correct, I believe your term and Colleen's term both expire at the end of January of 2022, so then we would want to have somebody here for February. So for those positions, we would be looking to potentially advertise those in November, December timeframe.
I remember we had some concern doing it over the holiday in previous years, and if that was, if there was apprehension for people to sign up, or whether they missed that's great. Whether they missed the message, whether they missed the message because they were, busy with holidays. That's the reason I was talking about the other 2, is I didn't know if we wanted to get ahead of the holidays or if we wanted to wait till January, but I suppose that's something that can be discussed down the road too.
And there could be some, just talking out loud here, there could be some advantages to opening all 3 positions right now and saying we have an unfulfilled position that has a date of X for expiration, and then 2 full positions that will be coming open February 1, 2022, and just see how many we can get.
It would still be 3 full positions, right? Because this will be an unexpired term.
Yes,
So then whoever filled for Andy's term would have the option to probably pick up
I
a full
think,
term,
yeah, I
but we'd still have to advertise for 3 terms next year, right? Okay.
I think it'll be harder to get somebody since it is an unexpired too.
No, I came in on an unexpired term. When he said I served 2 full terms, I served 2 full terms, and then I think I served another 2 years on an unexpired. So I think sometimes people like doing that because they can get a
You
flavor
know,
for the
it's
committee.
a shorter term, like this one will be.
Like, oh, this is a couple months. If I don't like it, yeah, I can still say give it a try.
Yeah, so you think you'll look at it tomorrow, Jason, and then decide?
Yeah, I would wanna talk with our city attorney just to make sure we don't miss any steps in the application process. And if she says, go ahead and advertise the vacant term that we have now, great, and if it makes sense to do all 3, we'll do all 3, so.
Like on one hand, it seems early to advertise the ones for 2022, but on the other hand, if perception, if we a month and a half later start pushing that out, I don't know if it's gonna make us look like an unstable committee or.
Lots of, all of the field.
Yeah.
So, and any other business, next meeting will be, October 18th, 2021 at 5:15. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Nice.
motion carried.
Oh, right.
Yeah, everybody.
Bye.
I'm gonna do that.